Hello, hello, hello.
Good
Oh,
morning.
good morning.
So, I got something for you.
Okay.
Thinking you might be a little homesick. I'm adding on to what I did yesterday to you.
Oh, okay. I love it. Oh, that's too funny. Let me go out to the patio. Good, good. Warms my heart. Warms my heart.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, that's good. That's how I start my day.
It's how I used to start my day.
And I'm retired. That's how I start my day, and I'm retired. But that's how. That's what happens when you live on a military base. You're reminded of the routine of service, and you don't mind it. I don't mind it. I really don't. Because it feels like home.
Well, the way I explain it to people, like I live by train tracks. When you first hear it, when you first get on, start on boot camp and get into base, it wakes you up. It's supposed to. And
Yeah,
then you start to you still hear it, but it's not as much. And then when you leave, you miss it. It's like the train tracks. You hear that train go by, you can set your clock by that time.
yeah.
After a while, you don't notice it, and then when you leave, you miss it. It's the same
You
thing.
really do. It really is. And on my first duty assignment, we actually got out the car. I mean, I did actually live on base, but even just being on base, we would get out the car and stand by the car and point toward the flag, face toward the flag, no matter where you were on the base. And if you didn't, you would looked upon as strange and out of order, because everybody did. Of course, it's a new day now, I guess, where folks are like, "Oh, hurry up!" But it's good to be on the show, and thanks. Like we say in Boston, that warmed my heart.
You betcha, you know it.
That gave me
Hey
flash.
Rick,
Hey, Ron, what's
what kind of
happening?
accent do you find in Arizona?
Um, it's really neutral.
A mix of a whole bunch because everybody's there on vacation.
It's really neutral. It would be, hmm. I really can't say. If I were to say, it would be more Midwestern St. Louis.
Okay. Of course, I bet you're getting a whole bunch of those misplaced southern belles that for breakfast every morning. They'd like to come for their wonderful Charleston breakfast out there at the cafe.
Oh boy, I tell you. Yeah, I'm actually, and I hate to admit this, I'm one. Thank you, sir. No, I'll
Rick
tell
is
you,
back to
boy.
getting up in the mornings and not eating breakfast at noon.
I'm telling you, man. We it's amazing. We travel Tuesday. We're here in Page, Arizona, by way of Charleston, by way of Colorado and other places. But we're here in Page. We've been in the travel business since 2004. And Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers, he talks about acquiring a skill set as a quote unquote expert, not a leak or a drip, but an expert, after you've done 10,000 hours in a particular thing. So we've been in the travel business way more for to accumulate 10,000 hours of leading, of doing all sorts of things, management, of course, travel, and you name it. We've been doing it since 2004. What people have failed to realize a lot of times is that to acquire a skill set in anything, those skills are transferable. And so my brother's opened a restaurant, Rustic Thistle, and had his first $10,000 day last Saturday. 700 people came through. 700 people came through. And they're loving the food. And Page, Arizona is a small town of 5,000 that grows last year, 5 million people came through. It's a
Wow.
tourist town. And they've got some great scenes and sights. And oh man, blow your mind. Wonders of the world, you know, like. And I was in Upper Antelope Canyon. Seemed like forever, but a couple of days, 3 ago. And the colors of these cavern walls, amazing. It's amazing, God's creation. But anyhow, so we come into this restaurant situation, and because he called us, he says, "Hey, I need you guys to come out." First of all, from Charleston, we drop everything. Ron says, "I wake up have breakfast at the crack of noon," and I do. And, but I'm working several businesses, and they're all mobile. So You know, what's the most amazing thing is that I watched Brenda. Now, Brenda, college degree, business administration, just a make it happen person. And I'm watching her in Charleston, and she's playing her games on the cell phone. I'm like, you're playing a lot of games. I don't say this. I'm just watching. But when she has to kick into gear, it amazes me every single time. You see, when the Lord tells her, "This is what I need you to do," she drops everything, all of her games, everything, and she like you say, Ron, she get her done. She gets it done. And so coming from Charleston, her brother calls, "Hey, I need you guys. The kitchen is great, the food is great, but I need you to help, manage the front of the house." With all the waitresses and all the different things that people are doing, runners, food servers, I mean, all those things, expo line. So we come in 3 days later after his call. Okay, we'll be there Wednesday. It's like Sunday. And we get in and we are able to pray, first of all, and take, as believers would say, spiritual authority. Spiritual authority. And it's amazing, once you step out of your comfort zone to do a calling, right? The authority that comes, the knowledge that comes. People are afraid to make that move because they don't. That's an unknown in that step. But we come, and all of this stuff is going on, but the process is, the potential is there. And so we come in and we start looking at best practices for restaurants and managing the front of the house. All these things. And immediately Brenda she shifts into gear. They are a fine-tuned machine now, 3 weeks later or so.
Wow.
It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. But the skill sets that we have acquired in Surge 365 Travel, all of them are transferable. We're putting in employee appreciation programs. We did a new schedule, and she's become an expert on the system called Toast. That's the software that manages, how you seat people, everything in the restaurant operation. She has become the expert. She has brought up a few folks who were being held down that understand everything, and she has brought them up to where now they can express themselves, and now the front of the house is getting in order. She says, "Rick, I am making a way to leave." I'm working to put processes in place to be able to leave. But the skill sets that we have, even through Surge 365 Travel, and folks who are listening, you're not just in travel, you're in business, you're in ownership, you're in managing. You own your own travel business. You're in having and understanding the flexibility to build something in any area. If it's the travel agency side, host travel agency side, if it's the vacation club membership side, if it's the Vortex online booking, if it's build a team and manage a team. We've had teams since 2005 in Surge 365 because we we chose to build huge teams. We kind of fell into it, but we said, okay, we accept this. But building huge teams, managing those teams, those skills we're using now in managing the restaurant teams. It is absolutely amazing. So we'll be here for probably, that's why, Ryan, I know you're going on the cruise next week, and we're supposed to be going on a Mediterranean cruise. They will most likely send us on that cruise and pay for the whole thing. We would
That's
not have
cool.
been ready, even as much as I wanted to go on the cruise that you guys are leaving. I want to hear about it too, that you guys are going on next week. We would not have been ready to go on the cruise. You know, you got to trust God, right? But yeah, we'll be here for another, ah, probably maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But we have committed to help take this restaurant to the next level in putting processes in place that they love the food, Ron. They line up outside for the food. They love the food. And we haven't even hit the tourist season yet. We haven't even hit the tour. I love the food. Ron, you and Linda, Mary would love the food. Yesterday we had a lobster roll.
Now you got my attention.
Big chunks of lobster, right? And so
Oh,
I had it, and they had this really nice buttery sauce. And but the next day, Brenda's like, "I want one too," because I gave her like a bite, right? She said, "I want one too," and so she says, coming from Boston, because we're from Boston, and when you have a lobster roll, you get a side of melted butter that you can drench over the lobster. And if a piece falls out, you can fork it and dip it. And that's what we did. They have these Asian style ribs that over a bed of rice. Oh my Lord. All the food. They have these humongous burgers, getting everybody hungry, right?
I saw the stack of pancakes that caught my attention.
The pancakes, a stack of pancakes. Ay, 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 ay. And but anyhow, we're applying those surge acquired skill sets. and it's working just great. Back to you.
Well, Rick, it is Travel Tuesday, and I want you to know I've got my toothbrush packed. We're ready to go.
Woo!
And
Guy Burgers, here we come.
yeah, Guy Burgers. We had some folks over the house Sunday, and we did a little bon voyage party, getting the baggage claims tickets, baggage tickets for the everybody's bag luggage, and we
For the
got their
folks who
boarding
don't know,
pass.
Rod, tell them where you're going, what you're doing.
Oh, we're going first. We're going to Cape Canaveral and Space Shuttle Inn down there in Titusville, right next to where where the X take off, and all the new rockets and the old ones, and the museum. And then the next morning, that was on Sunday. Monday, we get on board the go to the Port Canaveral of Carnival Cruises, and we get on board the Freedom. And
Nice.
we're going down to Turks and Caicos and Amber Cove, which is a resort area that we'll be going and hanging out with for a week with Captain Len Kane, his wife
Wow.
Ann, a few other people. I know we got an executive from Intiva Health, Jack and Bonnie Kyle. He's the treasurer, legal advisor for that wonderful company that is just, you want to know if America is growing. Well, this is a company, it's an American company based out of Houston. Founder was a Marine, brilliant communications expert as well as in the medical field. They built a medical company in the last few years that now is doing millions of business a day.
Nice.
American pharmaceutical company that manufactures, well, they've become what's known as the king. They own the rights and they are doing the largest amount of volume for gummy bear material. First of all, it's organic, and the other thing, it's pharmaceutical grade. So all the vitamin companies, all the pharmaceutical companies are lining up and signing contracts for on Tiva to supply the material. So we're getting go on TV every other commercials about a gummy bear type vitamin or food supplement or prescription, easily swallowed, and they're good, and it's really revolutionized the medication industry
Wow.
and for doctors and for patients. And they're dedicating a new plant in the next month. I know when Len and Ann get back from our trip, they're going right over to Phoenix, where they're dedicating a new 1,000,000 square foot facility that'll be
Nice.
doing and producing millions of dollars a week, a month, a year of pharmaceutical grade gummy bear material. They own that world, and they are just world renowned. They're one of the top. They've been recognized for one of their divisions for the services they provided, helping people who get educated, graduate, get their certificates, degrees. They get certified. You have to be certified to practice in any of your fields.
Wow.
And Intiva Health has become the leaders in helping people to get their certification to practice. And they were recognized as the number one supplier in the world.
Nice. Wow.
So, anyways, Jim Kyles and his wife are joining us. Bonnie, were joining us on the salute to Glenn Kane. And on Thursday, I'm sorry, Friday, the 10th, or the 9th or 10th, the day, um, he will be recognized at the veterans all aboard. The entire ship turns out for a big, it's in the theater, a recognition on stage. Len Kane will be recognized for his service as the fighter pilot and Nobel Peace Prize
Oh,
nominee
nice.
and award, and he'll be recognized by everybody on board the ship.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. He deserves it,
Yep,
man.
we're so excited to be able to make that come true, and we're in communications with the ship director who runs all the shows during the week, and
Hmm.
lining up different performances and things when we'll bring Len on stage. So we're looking just so forward to doing that, and we just got his credentials so we can make sure he gets on board. By the way, everybody should know that the credential process has taken a step upward, forward, more stricter for everywhere traveling in the world. Uh,
Really?
They used to be a little more flexible. I know the cruise lines are locked down. If you don't have that active passport that's good for 60 days past your trip, 6 months. I'm sorry, Linda's correcting me. Your
6
passport has to be good
months.
6 months after you go on a trip. When you go where you're going to go through a customs line, they don't have to accept you.
Wow.
So, driver's license, certified picture ID is okay with a real live birth certificate. It'll still work, but you really got to have that passport. And now the passports, they're requiring that aspect too, that they have to be good 6 months after you go on the
How
cruise.
about that?
They are literally, we found out because we've been talking directly with Royal Caribbean and we've been talking with Carnival Cruises, and they are literally being strict about this. There are people being turned away. I'm not
How
being trying to be alarmist, but this is something that we've got to be prepared for. That we got to help people, and that's what we do.
It's
We
true.
help people.
It's true. That's good. Good information. We have a new passport waiting for us when we get back to Charleston. We just renewed ours, and so I'm sure it's in the mail. Brenda's dad is checking our mail and putting it in the house. And believe it or not, we have a mail slot. We actually have a mail slot. So if he doesn't want to come in, he can put it through the mail slot.
That's cool.
And I made up this contraption that waters Brenda's plants. So we have the patio out there, and so we got some plastic from a mattress that we ordered online, and it had this big old plastic thing that we put down and made it into like a pool. Put up the side so it can collect water. And I bought a one of those little circular sprinklers, the real simple ones. And I put a hose to it, and I put a timer on it, and I ran it to the hose, and I actually cut a hole through the wall of the wood of this outdoor patio. So I made a little hole so the hose could come through.
You are
And
so inventive.
every Wednesday, and I put her plants in a little circle sitting on this plastic. Every Wednesday for about a minute, it comes on and it waters the plants.
That's so cool.
And it's an outdoor patio, so it's cement, floor. So, but the water stays in this little contraption I put together. And so my father, Brenda's dad, comes and he checks. He says, "The plants are doing fine. Plants are doing fine." It's been since April 9th. It's been since April 9th. But wow, that's going to be a cool cruise. That's good to know though, because a lot of folks don't realize, the procedures. Whether it's getting the passport, the whole process of I guess you have to sign in online and download your tickets, your luggage tags,
Yeah.
and put them in plastic and put them on your luggage handle so that when you get to the port, they'll take it to your room, deliver it to your room. And Ron, I can see you now making a guy burger.
Well,
And how
it's funny you say that because we've played a couple of the YouTube videos on the ship Saturday, and there are a couple different people, they had different couples that gave different perspectives. And of course, one of the areas they covered was going on and getting a guy burger. And then they talked about the seafood shack, this seafood fish shack, where you can get fresh lobster rolls, and that one's if you pay, it's extra for that. Or the steakhouse, if you want to upgrade and go get a surf and turf or some special salmon or something. But I will tell you, our experience. We've been on 9 Carnival cruises.
wow.
I've never had a bad meal in the regular dining room.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And we've had choices and desserts and multiple. I mean, I just, yes, you could get a higher level of service and pay for it at the different, different cruise lines have different levels of service. And, but I never had anybody, or I've never had anything say of anybody that we've booked or we've been with that hasn't had good food,
It's
good
true.
entertainment. And of course, on the Royal Caribbean, what you're going to get the incredible, really high level shows. Well, you're paying for it. A Royal Caribbean cruise will cost you at least $2,000 more than a Carnival cruise. Nothing wrong with that. Just that you want it, you got to pay for it. And so some people have limited budgets and they have limited time. So Carnival fits that bill. That's a segment of the marketplace. And I happen to not want to have to get in a suit and tie to go out to dinner on a cruise ship. I want to go, casual. Um,
Right.
and so that's where Carnival fits a bill. Um, and so,
Well,
so we,
it's a fun ship.
yeah, it is a fun ship. Now we are planning. We have a couple of churches asked us to plan. They're having their 50th wedding anniversary this year. They want to do an Alaska cruise, and we've talked to them, and they've gone online and they looked this, and they've chosen already. They've chosen Princess, and so Linda's signed up. She's going to be taking the Princess Matador classes.
Woohoo!
Commodore. And Matador, yeah, that's land. That's to go to Spain, but the Commodore, so we can go on a cruise and let Princess pay for it. So that we're working on that in the next couple months, and we also she's
Ron,
already certified for
Ron, you sound like
Carnival.
me. You sound like me. Yeah, we're working on it. It's really Brenda. That's a collective we're.
Yes. So, in the meantime, I had a guy, one of the guys that we met through some advertising that we had done through the years, and he called me up and said, "Next month his daughter's going to be going off to college. His two, well, one of them is going off. He wants to do a family cruise in June. Now it's May. He wants to go on a cruise in June, so we're putting together a last minute cruise for him to go. And it turns out, well, we're the one we're going on. There happens to be I can get two cabins together in them with an ocean view, and I can get them that deal. And just so happens, so I'm just waiting for him to call back. He's got till 5 o'clock today to come up with his credit card to pay for it, or we're gonna have to start all over. But that just came up in the last minute. We do those kind of events for people. Yeah, we do it again. We do some extensive, like we are for Bill and Rebecca, that they want to go on their 50th wedding anniversary big cruise. We'll do those, but really, what we're looking at is expanding the funding by travel to help our church and do the fundraising for our food bank that we served 1,500 families last year.
How about that?
1,500 families a week have been getting fed from our food bank at
How
church.
about that?
And so we're expanding that service, but we're going to help them pay for it using funding by travel because we're going to give every single person in our church the ability to use the Vortex for free and be able to get discount travel, and then the church will benefit and increase and have it's stewardship for people to spend their money and travel, but they're still going to benefit the mission that they love that being our church.
Malcolm Gladwell. I love reading his books, and I mentioned the book Outliers, which is a great book. Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, and in that book, he talks about prosperity. He talks about wealth building, and he talks about success in business. And one of the things that is so interesting and fascinating, about the book is he says that your wealth is created by the times that you live in more than by the things that you do. When the population recognizes that what you have is what they need at that time. So looking back all the way to Egypt, right? All the way to now, there are certain times and things that have happened, from the Revolutionary War to when we start hitting the industrial, agricultural age, when all those shifts in how we did things, when everybody moved from the farm to the city, those were significant periods where different inventions happened and people realized that, hey, we need this. When you look at going from the mainframe computer to the desktop in the 50s, and when all these young men, Silicon Valley pioneers, were born, like in the 50s, when they came of age was when, during that exact period, when there was a shift from the mainframe computer to the desktop. And these folks that were the pioneers had been working, you know, on understanding the desktop, but nothing was happening. Nobody really knew. Nobody really wanted it. Everybody was still locked in the mainframe, mindset. And then Popular Science, remember that old magazine,
Yes.
published an article that says, desktop computer. And all of a sudden, the light came on to the world of the possibilities of having a computer on your desk. All these folks who had been preparing, the pioneers, the pre pioneers, they had been preparing. And all of a sudden, society got it and said, hey, we want this. And they became, extremely wealthy when society realizes. And so I say that to say, we have been working in the travel industry for quite some time. Travel has shifted from the traditional travel agencies, which is a closed profession, to online, online booking. The host travel agencies, you don't see them anymore. The brick and mortars, you don't see them anymore. They've all shifted online. We have been riding this for quite some time, since 2001. So we've been riding this. And what's going to happen is the public is going to realize, especially in the changing environment, I need a side hustle, like you say, Ron. I need to do something to create additional income. I need to start a new career. And so and so what's the most exciting area on the planet? Travel. $11.1 trillion industry, the largest on the planet, number one employer on the planet. And it's fun. You guys are going on a cruise. That's your job. You're working. You're working. You're going on a cruise and you're working. And
With a smile on my face.
with a smile on your face. So when the public realizes that they have a need, is when you create tremendous wealth beyond anything that you do. You mentioned the Vortex as a fundraiser for the food bank. When the public realizes that we have a product in Surge 365 called the Vortex, which is an online booking engine that we can give away free to people, it's a portal. They book through that portal. They're going to save up to 60% on that hotel over the public Expedia Priceline price. When they book that hotel, the Vortex looks at that public price and comes in up to 60% less. Well, the owner of the Vortex earns what's saved, 100% of what's saved. That person saves $100. The owner of the Vortex earns $100. The owner of the Vortex could be that church, will be that church, your church. So when they give out that free link, give it out to the world. Give it out to the people that are coming to the food bank. Give it out to the businesses that support the food bank. Hey, here's a free link. Give it out to your friends and family. Da, da, da. Let them book through this link. Why go to Expedia? They go through this link, they're going to save money. And they're supporting a cause they believe in. Whatever they save, 100% comes to the church. That's pretty powerful, Ron.
Well, it's dynamic. It's actually dynamic, and the neat thing about it is we go churches are very very sensitive about selling things within the church or somebody's going to get some advantage. This is where the church is who's getting the advantage. By using it, the church is getting the advantage.
It's
It's
good.
such a perspective that you're able to utilize a resource that's floating all around. And most people never tell their pastor when they tell them when they've gone on a trip. They never tell them they're going on a trip. The reason for that, there's some need like the food bank, and there's something coming up. Well, if you've taken that money and you're going on a trip,
Right. You take
what
that money,
on
you're
the
going on the
Expedia goes back to the church, you are supporting your church, and you still can be blessed by the actions that you're taking in your vacation or whatever it is you're doing.
well, like you say, it's stewardship. It's
I'm
stewardship.
so proud that God revealed that to us, and part of that
Well, hey,
came
hey, check
about.
this out. I'm proud that you see it. I have been seeing this for a long time, and I've spoken to people in search. You know, the Aidens, they see it. Glenn and Chantel, Ed Taylor. There's only a few people, even in Surge, that see it, understand it, can apply it, can explain it. There's only a few people that have that knowledge, that revelation knowledge. So when next thing I know, after I got over the fact that you guys come into Surge and you disappear in Europe,
Your fault.
where did they go? Oh wow, they're on a cruise. They're on a Viking River cruise in Europe. I love that story. I love that story. But you guys also saw the Vortex as a fundraiser. And the next thing I know, you're sending people to Havana. You know, you're sending missionaries to the Guatemala. You know, using the Vortex and the travel tools. You guys are special. Me being in the business for quite some time, and understanding the access. The key word here is access. Access to online booking, access to a travel agency, access to wholesale prices with the membership. You guys came in and understood all of that, you know, as a matter of course. How does that happen? Why were you guys so uniquely prepared for Surge 365? Oh, I don't even mention team building and understanding how to build teams and dynamics. How did you guys get so uniquely prepared for Surge 365?
In our youth, when I was a youth, I don't know, I've never seen the movie My Cousin Vinny and the judge and Vinny, Joe Pesci's the lawyer, and he goes, "Your Honor, the Utes." He goes, "What's a Ute?" Well, and we when we were in our youth, Lynn and I loved to travel. The concept of in our lives wanting to travel. She'd studied English history and had a desire to do that. In fact, I almost lost Linda before we got started because she was going to go to England with her girlfriends. And of course, with the great vision that I had no idea. I said, don't go with them. Marry me, and we'll go together." Now that's called a lie because frankly, I was working as a bartender, a bouncer, and pumping gas.
Oh
I
wow.
had no remnants of success for her to believe, but she had faith.
Oh.
She said I had sincerity in my eyes, in my heart.
Oh.
And I just say to people, if you're looking for people in your life that have those kind of features, they're going to be someone that's going to see what you prepare and you propose to them when they see this, because those are the natural, basic things. Anybody that's going to succeed in what we're talking about, that's going to be critical to that
It's true.
recipe.
You're right. It's almost like, a person has to have a vision to start. Is it possible to put a vision in a person outside of them versus one that originates from the inside? When a person has a vision that originates from the inside that they've been mulling over, thinking about, trying to figure out, how do I get from point A to point B? They've been working it out. It's just, and they've come to the place where I don't know how to do it. And then Ron and Linda show up and say, "Hey, here's a tool that you can use. Here's a relationship that you can use. Here's an
Rick,
environment." Mm-hmm.
I'd like to take, you're right. We did. That is true what you just shared. But I'd like to take it one step back further than that before this in thought. Along the way, Lynn and I were brought up. We had great parents, and they brought us up to have faith, and they introduced us to the windows and the doors, and they always wanted us to look to having faith in our life. And I would say one of the key things, you don't have to be a Christian to do this business. There are people who are non Christians, there are people of every faith, but you've got to have faith. And the other thing you have to believe in is through your faith that you as an individual are worthy of fulfilling that vision that God puts in your heart. We went through a period that we questioned whether that was proper. And in some point in your life, you've got to overcome that. There's people that will keep you back. The enemy will keep you back. There are a lot of things in the world that says, no, you shouldn't. No, no, there's something wrong with it. What we learned and accepted and promote that having a vision, having a dream is God centered, God powered, and God led. And our ministry, our mission is to honor and glorify his kingdom. And we do that through this. That's why we don't have to ask permission. We already got the power. We got the power, you know?
It sounded like a '60s commercial. Yeah, we got the power.
That was a song.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what
Yes.
kind of triggered that without me even knowing, right? Hey, that's why we can go from Charleston, drop ourselves into Page, Arizona, in the midst of a restaurant that's about to explode, and knowing that we have the power. And it's the most amazing thing seeing Brenda interact with these folks and to create a bond, to to build a team, to achieve something. They had a contractor. I mean, this is a huge restaurant. This is a huge restaurant, and the back part of this restaurant. I mean, they have a second floor that they're going to build out and create like another part of the restaurant with the dance floor and all that. Where people can just relax and whatever. And but the back of this restaurant, they needed to do the floors, and the contractors that come in and had all of this stuff that they just a mess. It's like, what's going on? When are you guys going to do this? And they were kind of slow rolling a little bit. Brenda came in, whipped them into shape, and cleared out the whole place. And brought these folks in and cleared out this and moved this over there and da 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 and creating, all the
She
stuff.
took charge.
She took charge, but like you were saying, nobody could give her permission for that. It's something that God put in her heart. Once you get into a situation, you will be shown what to do. What happens with a lot of people, they're trying to make decisions before they even take a step to be put into a situation. But like you said it earlier, that's the faith step. We took a leap of faith that, yes, we'll come and help. And that once we got here, knowing that we'll be shown and told what to do, by the Spirit. And that's exactly what happened. So Brenda shifts into playing her games.
Ah,
Brenda, what do you? Of course, I don't say this. I just watched, and because I've seen it every time, she will do that until she knows that she is told to do something, and then when she is told to do something, it is like on. And but coming here was a leap of faith, knowing that once you get here, you'll see what to do. And Ron, that's what we're doing. And nobody can give you permission other than the Spirit. What people are waiting for, since we've been conditioned and trained all our lives, is for somebody to give them permission. And that person is on the inside. And unless they recognize that, they're always waiting for permission from something, someone, and they're not going to get it because that's the leap of faith that they've got to take.
well, that's so true. And uh, I think part of what people become timid because of the influences that they influence in their environment, influence who they hang with, influence in where sometimes where they've been, and the other thing is
That's good.
who impresses them.
That's
See,
good.
you have to choose who you want to impress you. We learned early on that you know if somebody didn't have or weren't living in the way that we wanted to be, they didn't have the right, they didn't have permission to affect our life, our thinking.
Ooh, that's good.
And so it's so popular even today that people will say, well, what do they think? Or what? Um, I'm sorry, they don't count. Yeah,
It's
I
true.
learned long, I learned a long time ago that unless somebody has achieved or accomplished something in their life that they overcame and they had to learn different things, then if they weren't willing to do that, well, then how could they qualify to be a consultant in my life?
You're right.
Um, I remember I had a counselor, a high school guidance counselor. In high school, they wanted to put you into different categories. At the time we were in school in the 70s, it was absolutely critical that you were going to get a college 4-year college degree. And if you didn't do that, you were considered less of a person.
Lesser than.
You weren't going to make it in life. And as we are seeing today, I think it's so funny on the news every night. You hear how people are saying, "I'm not going to go spend $100,000 getting debt and be broke. I'm going to find another way." And the other way is now letting people not go to college, get trades loan, or buy a business or start a business, create something and own it. The big difference is owning it. Because I did learn somewhere along the way, and I can share you specific examples what caused me to recognize when you came along that I needed to jump into and jump at it. And one of the things is my dad worked, and his dream was to become a CPA. He had a high school degree. He was in accounting. And back in the 50s and the 60s, you could get away with that and become something in business. And there were lots of people that did that. But he was not a CPA, so he can go get into the levels. It became that you had to have a degree in accounting, get certified, and then you could go into the higher levels of income. So he never reached that. Well, had a stroke. He was laying in a hospital bed at Veterans Hospital, Bailey Avenue, Buffalo, New York, and the company he worked for sent him a telegram. They wouldn't let my mom take it, and that telegram said, "You don't have a job." My dad had another stroke and died.
Wow.
See, that's as clear as day in my mind and in my heart. And I swore that day I was never going to let a company, command my life that way. And
That's
that was
good.
one of the things that always stood out. I went to work for big companies. I got started in independent businesses. I did some network marketing, a couple different trial to companies and things that let me be in a position of ownership, but I didn't have the kind of success that I needed come out of that at the time. But it didn't mean that the system didn't work because I saw enough success. I've seen people who have achieved. And then I met you. Well, I don't have to be hitting the head with a hammer. It made total sense. And you had the proof. You didn't just wear it on your sleeve. You weren't the emperor's new clothes. You were the emperor. You
The
were walking
emperor.
you and Brenda.
It was interesting, and you're absolutely right. What's interesting is that my success is spiritual. And I have to say, all glory to God, because I'm not necessarily a network marketer in the traditional sense of network marketing.
No,
Of course,
you're not.
I've experienced in different things and different trials and different areas, and I realized that, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, you know, it, I'm not that, chasing people, doing this and going over here and going over there, and I'm not that. And so I wanted to try a different approach. I wanted to try the approach of obedience and timing, and doing what the inner voice says to do. And so I left my company that I was working with, and they were paying me, over 100K, but I was working 80 hours a week. And after a year of being told to leave by that inner voice, I finally got the courage to leave after about a year. And not to mention beat downs and all that and spiritual. But anyhow, I left February 7th, 2005. I didn't know Surge or the travel industry was a way to make money and to create another income coming into the home. And but I left not to go into the business, but to go into the community, following the passions of my heart. That's why, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, follow the passions of your heart and watch how things fall into place. So I go into the community and I have the tool, travel. Well, the tool travel took off almost without me because some of the folks who were looking at that time for an opportunity, that's why your environment creates your opportunity. They saw the tool surge, they took it, travel, the legacy company, they took it and ran with it without me. I'm in the community serving, and I'm serving the community, and I'm helping the homeless, and I'm helping survivors of Katrina, and I'm doing all kinds of neat things in the community. The business start going crazy without me. I heard a quote this morning, and it was saying, "The imaginations of your heart create your reality. What you dream about, think about, bring about." And so I'm thinking about it, thinking about it, and I'm bringing about it in the community of what I wanted to see as success in the business. The business starts making a ton of money without me. These heavy hitter dudes and ladies are, working with Brenda. I'm serving in the community. The business start that next year, we made over $650,000, and I'm not even there. And I go, wow, the power of a tool. So that leap to my success is more spiritual in nature than me just working, 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 working. And I'm going to tell you this: the power of a vision. See, you had talked earlier why you guys were successful in this. The power of the vision takes you over that hump and puts you on good ground, green grass, to keep moving forward. You know, and I had a vision that took on a life of its own. Right? People have no idea the power of a vision is life or death. The question is, do you have a vision? Do you have a vision that comes from the inside like a fountain and waters on the outside? If you don't have a vision, get one. What do you desire to do? What's in your heart to do? What have you always wanted to do? What are you good at? What are some of the talents and the skills you have in service of others? No person is an island. You don't make it here by yourself. You don't create wealth by yourself. When I heard Joel Griffin, the founder of the Hope Collection, speak on the Burl Walk show, Burl Walk, the gazillion, alienate, making gazillions, right? Number one marketer in the world, Burl Walk, who has passed on. I heard Joel Griffin, the founder of the Hope Collection, our mentor, speak. When I heard him speak, Ron, on logistics, when I heard him speak on in network marketing, you're not in that company. You're a supplier to that company. You're not in Surge. You're not in travel. You are a supplier. They're just giving you access. When I heard him talk about logistics, when I heard him talk about anything, servant leadership, and I didn't even know him. and Country Boy and I were there, and I really didn't know Country Boy either. We all met on the Burl Walk show, but when I heard Joel speak, I was like, I got to work with that guy. I got to know that guy. I have to meet that guy. And I was sitting there after one show, minding my own business, and I had spoken. And Burl Walk would say, "Yo, Rick, where's Brenda?" He wanted to hear Brenda. Put Brenda on. And so, but after one show, I got a call from Joel. Ron, I got a call from Joel. We spoke for about an hour. And I'm like, you know what? I am in seventh heaven. I'm finally getting a chance. See, like attracts like. Those who are similar and like-minded will come to you. Those who aren't will filter out. When Joel and I started talking, I'm like, you know what? I I love this guy. I love everything he's saying. Everything he's doing. I want to be like Mike, right? I want to be like Joel. And he became my mentor. And that's when he introduced me to you and Linda.
Well, and then he introduced me to you, and he was so emphatic about it. And I know, the last year of his life, he struggled with his body was being attacked by cancer. His mind was clear, his passion was clear, and he wanted to make sure. And he told me flat out that one of the things that he wanted to make sure that when he leaves this world, when he was leaving us with the best and most prosperous and the most successful concepts that we could move to go forward with our life. And he was committed to doing that, and he did that. And he was, I'll say this, he was selective. There were lots of people in his life, but he, with a handful of people, he made sure that we were connected in ways that he knew what our life, our spirit was, and that he can align us with someone and people and concepts that would allow us to flourish. And that's what happened.
That's powerful because relationships are everything. What we're offering the listeners and people is a relationship. The business is a tool, but we're offering them a relationship of positive people, of a positive environment, of people that are there in your corner who will root you on. I was reading another book, and in this book, they were just talking about if just one person believes in you, you're successful. People are looking for just one person that believes in them and believes in that they can make it, that they can prosper, that they can do it. Just one person, and they're successful. If just one person believes in them, you have a whole team of people in Search 365 who believe in you and who are in your corner and want you to make it and will do every single thing to help you to make it. Isn't that something? When in life do you find that? That's what you get in Search 365. Even though we talk travel on Tuesday, you have people that are in your corner. Mary starts off the show, you know, with Reveille. She says, Rick, you need to be reminded of home. Living on a military base. Reveille, followed by the anthem, U.S. national anthem. And I'm like, like what was that movie with the smell of victory? The sounds of victory. Thanks, Mary.
You're good. Hey, we all miss it.
We miss it. We miss it. It's part of our makeup.
We're just blessed, and I'm thankful for it. And I pray that anybody may be listening that they have in their heart or they're looking, get a hold of us because time's moving forward and we can make things happen, and it can happen very swiftly. See, the world has a pattern that they think you have to be and do. And they have a gate that they want you to run at. But you see, success doesn't follow that. Success follows a dream. Success
Ooh,
follows
good.
and is propelled. The power of a dream will take you places that just out of desire you never could have happen. It's the dream. It's the power of the that because that motivates. That's the gas in the fuel tank. When you get your rocket ship filled with a dream, you can go anywhere in the universe. Elon Musk proves that every day.
Wow. I like that. Success follows the dream. What is your dream?
Here we go. So, guys, we next week we'll miss you because we'll be out at sea, but we pray that you'll have an incredible show and things will continue on, and we'll have new things to share with you when we get back.
And before we leave, we got fortunate, so we didn't get damaged, but our prayers go out to all the families of the storms that hit the Midwest last night and this morning.
Oh, really?
We've been fortunate that there was nobody injured,
Wow.
but we did have tornadoes go through.
Wow.
Lots
We've
of
had
damage.
tornado warnings here.
We've had the warnings that are supposed to come in here about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock today, so I pray that we don't get hit with them. Right now, it's been 70 degrees outside and sunny. It's a little cloudy now, but we just woke up to a beautiful morning and knowing that the promise of
With the threat of
exciting
hail
day.
and tornadoes this evening.
So we'll be seeing. By the way, I know Linda's still holding the health and wellness show tomorrow, and Len Kane will be on Friday, and Thursday there could be a show podcast. Check your email. You never know when the invitations are going to be out to you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We love you.
Have safe travels on the
Thank
cruise and
you.
on the
Tell
high
Brenda we said
seas.
hi. Tell
Have
Andy and the
fun.
kids we said hi, Mary.